starts with like so many simple things, like, you know, and I'm thinking of what I was going to say. Think the little things and that the decisions you make, the little decisions you make, are really what changes everything. It's from hiring a housekeeper.
That would be pretty, Mike.
From your niece, or your 8 or 9 year old niece playing with her playmate. And
Hiring your nanny.
well, it's not hiring a nanny, but it started with hiring the housekeeper.
No, the nanny came first.
Yeah. Sorry. It's from hanging Christmas lights. Someone telling us their story. You know, we sat from a lady who I didn't even know, listened to a story, and convinced me in 1 second that that was the right thing to do. It's sitting on the couch with Mr. Arvin talking about getting married. I'm asking me if I'm sure, you know, I'm doing the right thing. And I think he's still laughing. You know, every time he sees me run at him, he just giggles, and I think, you know, he's laughing at me from that point. But if I was to pick a word, you know, I was going through everything and trying to pick a word to describe Melissa, and, you know, if I read the book and I look and I got a quote right from the book, and, you know, page 4, Oyster Bay 2013, Oyster Bay Library, and okay. That's all it took, is okay. One word. She got an idea. And if you know Melissa, if she has an idea, a chance, or a vision or a goal, it's not if she's going to achieve it. It's just when. You know, it really is. It's just when. So I'd like to raise your glass and congratulate Melissa R. Pandolf, author, The Journey from Mom and Babies.
Well, I have a whole list of people that I have to thank here today. So I hope you got a few extra minutes. It's 2 pages. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I don't think he's going to speak too long.
No.
Who is it?
All right.
Who is it?
But first, of course, I want to thank
Who's your
Doug.
grandpa?
Because without Doug, there is no story.
Yay!
And it really did
Yay,
start
clap.
with those words of
Can you
okay.
clap hands?
He never says no.
Grandpa.
Yeah. And I also want to thank my parents, because obviously I had the biggest support
Jackson,
system
where's
in the
Grandpa?
world. And my parents are awesome. With my parents and Doug, I can never do any wrong. And I can accomplish anything because I do have that. But there are several other people I do want to thank. There'd be no story without them. And the first one is Charlotte, who some of you have met tonight, some of you have known, but Charlotte was my social worker. She has guided us through this entire process. And she was my social worker, she became our friend, and now she's just part of our family. She truly, she shared her story that day in Oyster Bay at the library about her own experience with her children, and that's what changed Doug's mom. If it wasn't for her being there, and if it wasn't for her sharing her story, these children wouldn't be here, because I had to change Doug's mind somehow, and she did it for me. We walked out of that library knowing this was going to happen, and that's because of you. So thank you. It takes one person to make a difference. Along the journey, when we were going through the process, we also had to enlist the help of a lot of other people, because the adoption process is not just signing a bunch of forms and, hey, you go have some kids. We had to enlist help of accountants and notaries and doctors, and they really had to go the extra mile, and not just sign forms, though, especially the accountants. We were moving money, we were making it look like we had all this life insurance. We were pulling shenanigans 9 ways to Sunday, and they just sign their names, whatever, we trust you. And they also had to give us their credentials to send overseas, which is a big deal when you're a professional. You had to trust your license to go to a foreign country to help prosecute our children's lives. So I want to thank Mike Bourbon and Christine Stelling. Yay, Mike! Without them, these kids wouldn't be here. And also, some people that couldn't be here are Holly and Becky, who is also Christine's sister, they were our notaries. When you're adopting, you need a notary in your corner because they just turn their eyes and just start signing. They were signing names people they didn't even know. People,
I think the
you know,
statute of
it's
limitations.
ridiculous.
I think the statute, you guys are okay now? The statute of limitations has passed. You don't have to worry about it. You can travel again. You know, all those things you guys signed, you have no clue what you're signing. Especially Becky, because Becky, I met her in a parking lot with like just things that she would just sign already, you know, so.
But we
She
have
did have
books
to
for
leave the
them.
state, but besides that, you know, we used to be a free gift.
We have books for them, so they'll all be receiving books. And also Dr. Fishkin, who couldn't be here today, he's too busy seeing patients in Stony Brook, you know, high guy that he is. But he enlisted the help of a lot of his doctors, that we needed to get oncologists to sign off on things, and infectious disease, and all these crazy doctors that were individuals and psychiatrists that Mike had to help me with. I mean, we needed all these documents done and their licenses and credentials. It was amazing because he made all of his colleagues, he got them all on board and they signed all of our documents, and because of all of their effort and their help, our children are home. So Dr. Fishkin will also be receiving a book, so he couldn't be here. But aside from that, we got the book published, which is a huge accomplishment. And just a few words on the book. I know you all, it's an adoption story. It's about Doug and I bringing these children home, and it's about how, you know, I wanted my kids to know how my kids became my kids. And that's what it started out to be. But it turned into something much more. My hope for this book is that as you all read it, and you see, you know all my beautiful children. But, you know, I had a lot of struggles that I didn't know about. I went through post-adoption depression. And, you know, I just had a lot of issues and things that I didn't know about. I wasn't prepared for them. And I exposed myself in this book to all of those things. So my hope is that when you read it, you'll have a better understanding of what adopted families go through, and that you'll, you know, as you meet other adopted families, you'll be able to help them and understand them more. And also that other adopted families, I know I'm not the only one that went through all these things. So I hope that other adopted families read it and know that they're not alone, and that I'm speaking words even when I say I don't even know that I love my children sometimes. You know, I say it. I know we all think it, but I say it in there, and it's an honest book. It's truthful, and I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you share it with your friends, and you know, I hope you really all do take something away from it. But the book didn't get published on its own. A few months ago, I started a fundraising campaign that helped me raise money in order to fund the process of getting it published. And I'm excited because obviously the book campaign, it did work. And I had a lot of supporters that did that. I had a lot of people that came in and helped me, but I do have a top 4 supporters, and when they donated so much to my campaign, they were told they would get a signed copy of my book. So I'd like to acknowledge, of course, my parents, Joe and Nancy. Chris and Kim Foy, who are Doug's best friends. Childhood friends, they are always there for us. Thank you guys. Juan and Sandra, they couldn't be here. They're from South Jersey. I'm in the military with them, and because of the weather, they weren't able to make it. But Juan and Sandra, and then my older brother Joe and his wife Jen. And as far as big brothers, Joe Ross, because not only did he help me publish my book, but they also helped fund my college education. And that will never be forgotten, because really, as big brothers go, and my sister-in-law, they're awesome. They're always there for me. I can call them and they're there. You know, so I appreciate that. I love you guys. And of course, my sister and my brother Matt. I mean, I just have the most amazing family and the most amazing husband. And none of it would have been possible without any of you. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you all enjoy it.